welcome to the lesson on classifying three-dimensional figures, or 3D figures. In this lesson, we will think about the basic 3D figures and how we can differentiate them and identify them. By definition, we think that most of the common figures in geometry are two-dimensional, squares, rectangles, triangles, but our world exists in 3 dimensions, and we have figures to model those three-dimensional ideas. So looking at some of the basics, we begin by talking about prisms. The most essential prism is basically a box. We have a bottom, sides, a top, and we know that these 6 faces, these multiple edges, these vertices make up a prism. Now, a prism's characteristics make it very unique and uniform. A prism has 2 bases. That base is a polygon, and those 2 bases are congruent and parallel to each other. Now we think about the different types of prisms, and we're only limited by simply the type of base that we have. In this first figure, as I highlight in purple the 2 triangular bases. In the second figure, I have 2 congruent hexagons, so as I highlight them, I know that this prism is defined by a hexagon. So my prisms can be triangular, they can be rectangular, or they can be hexagonal as we saw in this last example. Now, a cylinder is very easy for us to think about as we know that cans, pipes, etc. are cylinders. And we know that a cylinder has a circle on the bottom and a circle on the top. But a cylinder is not a prism, but will thankfully follow many of the same rules that prisms do. If it's not a prism, we can think about something as being a pyramid. A pyramid, by contrast, has one base and triangular sides that meet at one point. If I look at these 2 figures, this pyramid has a rectangular base here on the bottom, and those 4 sides that meet up here at this top point. This triangular prism has a triangular base, as I highlight, and 3 triangular sides that all meet up here at this top point. Next, we think about cones and spheres. Kind of like cylinders, cones very much follow the same characteristics and rules of a pyramid, but of course with a circular base, a cone does not technically get to be called a pyramid. Now, a sphere is a circle that essentially has been rotated 2-dimensionally and 3-dimensionally to make a sphere, which we recognize as a ball. Now with practice, let's take a look at 3 figures, look at some of the clues, look at the bases, and determine what shapes we have. So for this first one, where do I have 2 congruent sides? This figure has a trapezoid bottom and a trapezoid top. So because there's 2 trapezoids, this is a trapezoidal prism. With this figure, I have one base down here at the bottom. The dashes let me know that it's a square, so I can call this a square pyramid. This last figure, I have one non-polygon base, so this is a cone. It's important to think about the connection of 3D figures, as we know that 3-dimensional figures help us with our 3D world and largely architecture as well.